In this video, we're going to take a look at baselines and see how they behave according to various positions that you might have, various points of view you might have on the still life that you're attempting to draw. Well, we're only going to do, as an example, two different viewpoints. I've already started the drawing here. I started the assignment, and on this side of the page, what I've drawn is the still life that you see in front of you in the camera, in the video. And I've approached it as an intuitive gesture, which I would like you to do also. It's just extra practice. So I've gone through and I've drawn every object in there, trying to get a sense of where they are and how big they are in relation to each other. I've even gone through and made some corrections. I've replaced the sphere a couple of times. So I would like you to do that. Take it and just make an intuitive gesture drawing of the objects that you see before you in a relatively from a relatively conventional viewpoint. In this case, I'm seated at the table, have my drawing board propped up, and I'm looking at objects placed on the table. So I've already gone and done that. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a look at the baselines. So from the camera's perspective, which could be you seated at your drawing board in front of the objects, you're going to, this actually is not absolutely necessary to do for this assignment, but I think it's good practice to cite the baselines. And basically what you're doing is you're citing a level reference line at the lowermost point of each object. That's what a baseline is. It's a special kind of horizontal reference line. You might want to take a look at the citing reference lines videos or read through the instructions to refresh your memory. So I'm citing the bottom. There's the baseline for the sphere. There's the baseline for the lower banana. There's the baseline for the forward corner of that box, and you notice that it's very close to where the banana is, but there's a little separation. We could mark the lowest point of the second banana if we want to. I don't think I will in this case because it's very close. And then finally there's the baseline of the jug in the back. So those are the reference lines I'm going to mark on the page. And basically it's very easy. You don't even need to look at the objects, but look at your drawing and make a point of the lowermost part of the object, and then freehand a level line across the page. It may not look level in the camera because there's distortion, but I'm making this as level as I can, and I encourage you to freehand these. Don't get in the habit of using a straight edge to do this, but freehand it. And for this assignment in particular, I want you to make it nice and dark so you can really see it. Generally, when we strike reference lines in our drawings, we want to keep them light so they don't get in the way of the drawing. Let's strike the lowermost, find the lowermost point of this banana, and let's strike the line through that. And again, draw through. Doesn't matter if there's something overlapping, draw through. You want to be able to see it. It's really close to the corner of the box, but I'm going to go ahead and mark that one in also because to my eye anyway, it's very close, but there's enough there that I can see a difference. I'm again attempting to freehand these and to keep them level and parallel. Parallel to each other, parallel to the bottom and top edges of the page. And of course, here's a baseline for the jug, starting right about here. Let's put that one in. And you can already, now it's very easy to see. You can already see what these baselines are doing from a more conventional point of view. Notice how on the page overall, they're occupying kind of a limited area of the page. It's going to do something a bit different when we change our position and look down on these objects more. So what I'm going to do at this point is I'm going to move the camera. I'm going to raise it up and we're going to look down on these objects a little bit more. So please excuse the shaking, but just let me get this adjusted. I really want you to be able to see the difference here. I really want you to see the difference between, you know, a seated position and a standing position. Now, what I anticipate you would be doing is putting your board down flat on the table and standing up to draw, and then you'll have this dramatic change here in the objects. I have to, because of the presenting a video, I have to kind of change things a little bit. So I'm actually using the camera's eye and not my own, and I'm drawing what I see on the screen because I think it makes it a little more sense to you as the viewer. So let's go ahead and draw what we see. Same objects, same arrangement. You also actually have the option, if you want to draw seated, you could take your objects and arrange them on the floor or at lower level, roughly the same position. It doesn't have to be the same, but roughly the same. But in this case, I get to use the exact same arrangement here, and it'll probably make more sense to you. So now I'm going to begin the drawing. I'm going to do a gesture drawing of these objects. We'll start with the sphere, and I'm thinking, you know, how big do I want it? Looking at the still life setup overall, you know, I want it placed a little bit, you know, a little bit to the right of center. Now let's go to the box. About how far away. What I'm doing is right now is I'm looking through. I'm visualizing this line here. Whoa, this is tricky. I'm visualizing this line here of the box right through the banana. Okay, I'm visualizing that. Where is that? Well, it's way over here. It's way over here, and it's quite a distance from the sphere. So it's somewhere like that. And now as I'm looking at it, I'm kind of thinking I might have placed the sphere this way too much. So I'm just going to shift it a bit. I like the level it's at. I'm going to shift it a bit, make it a little darker. I want you to be able to see that too, that's my corrected one. And we're going to go ahead and just draw in this forward plane here. It looks like it's about so big. And remember, you can extend lines. We'll finish off the box here quickly. We're attempting to get this stuff down in the first minute or two, okay? Keeping a quick pace and just relying on our eye, not measuring anything at the moment. And what are the bananas doing? But they're coming around this way. The nice curve to them like that. Maybe something like that. Connected up here. A little bit difficult to see on the camera, those little dark places. And this one is doing something like this, just kind of projecting off that same one. And finally the jug. Now, it appears to me to be, about there. Okay, I'm practicing my ellipses by drawing, you know, trying to keep it unlabored, but keeping a nice fluid mark. And let's just finish this off by drawing the jug quickly here. We don't need to spend a lot of time with that. We have a label facing us again and a little handle on it. One of the things I'm noticing, you may want to notice this too, but this ellipse is more open than this one. And that makes sense because we're looking down on it more. Notice that a sphere does not change. It's the same from whatever angle. Okay, so there I've got my objects. I'm going to pause for a moment and evaluate. And I'm going to ask myself, does anything seem a little bit out of place? Is anything too big or too small? Is it, you know, for the sake of time, I'm going to say, you know, this looks good. This looks pretty good. I'm also, just kind of gauging the distances between objects. Just very roughly, I'm looking at those things too. Only thing I see is that maybe the sphere, that's always an easy thing to change. I'm just going to shift it over a bit. Things moving this way in this assignment aren't very critical, but it's kind of, the up and downs, where they are placed up and down on the page, is a little more critical. But let's say you've drawn this, you made a few corrections, you approached it, just like an intuitive gesture, and made an evaluation, and you're saying, okay, that's good enough. Now go through and do the same process. Here, strike these lines, lowest point on the sphere, lowest point on the banana, forward corner of the box is its lowest point. We'll strike that in. Lowest point on the jug. And making them dark, keep them parallel to one another and parallel to the edges of the page. So here on camera, I think you can start to see what happens as you change your perspective on a group of objects just by looking at the baselines. In this more conventional view, they're kind of in a more limited space. As you get up and over and looking down on objects, those baselines spread. And in fact, if you had objects going way into the background, or actually not that far, but the more you look down on it, you could have a cropped object here, whatever it may be, a bottle or something, and you could have a baseline way up there. So they spread, and it can be a pretty dramatic change. This is a bit subtle, but it's enough there that I think you'll understand. You'll grasp the idea here from the assignment. So that's the exercise on baselines, and I hope you have fun with it as you try it.